Hello! In this tutorial create 3 pages through the HTML widgets that will communicate with each other. So let's log in our framework, choosing the advanced workspace and the corresponding project. So basically create 3 pages based in this tables diagram. The same tables diagram that I have been using in all the previous tutorials, where a school can have multiple teachers and multiple students. So the idea that we have here will be create 3 pages, one that will show a school's list, other one that will show the teachers of a school, and other page which basically will show the school details. Okay, so let's open the schools page editor and let's create here our schools list. So there are multiple ways of doing this. One of the ways is just drag and dropping the HTML widgets, making it through the widget settings main list group, and then select here the corresponding table, the school table, to make a list. This is one way that we did this previously in the other tutorials, or we can do this in this other way, which is we go to the modules, blocks and DB drivers, and we go to the corresponding diagram tables, nodes, and we choose the corresponding table, and we drag and drop this list items widgets into the corresponding region. Then we make our own selections. If we want this to be editable, a table which will be editable. Okay, yeah, it could be editable. So we just need to click proceed, and automatically the system will create the corresponding resources and the HTML widgets for us. Additionally, we cannot forget to install the templates so we can see this in a more pretty way. That's what we're gonna do this after the system finished to create all the resources. Okay, so all the resources are done, so let's just install the templates. And voila. Okay, our first schools list is created. Let's save so we can see the results, and let's preview this page. Okay, so we have an add button here, so we can add more schools, we can edit the existing ones, we can remove, okay, we can sort, we can search, we can do a bunch of things. Okay, now we want to add another button here so we can show the school teachers page. So what we want to do here is to go here and add a link button. So we just go back to our widgets and we drag and drop a link here. Okay, which we're gonna call, let's call this teachers. Now we can go back to the, so we can see this better. Okay, and here we can give it some classes, so it could be similar with these buttons here. This would be button small. It could be, okay, I can add this other one. Okay, so it can be more or less the same. And in here we want this to point to the school teachers page, which is this teachers page. Now we want to pass here the correspondent school ID of that specific record, so then the school teachers page can read that, and we're going to pass it with this variable. I'll explain when we'll create the school teachers. I'll explain why we are giving this variable here. But for now, we need to put here the corresponding school ID. So because we are in a list, we need always to put the IDX attribute, and then in here we put the corresponding attribute name, which is the school ID that we want to put it. And we update. Okay, and we save this. And we are ready to preview the page. So now by clicking in the teachers, in here I see school teachers 1. If I go back, if I click in this one, I see the school ID equal to 9. Okay, perfect. So now let's edit the school teachers page. So in here, let's just drag and drop the school teachers list, but instead of doing as the traditional way that we did through a div or through the modules that I teach already how to do that, instead of doing in these ways, let's do in a third different way, which is through this database list in here. So it's just search for the, in this case it's the teacher table, so we just search for the teachers table and we just drag and drop the teacher table into the region that we want to drop it. And what we want to do here is just to print a tables list to view the teachers. So we do proceed, automatically the system will create the correspondent resources and widgets, HTML elements. We wait until the system finishes. Is done. We need to select the correspondent template so we can see this in a more pretty way. Okay, perfect. And voila, we don't need the search in this one, we can just delete it, and we just want to show like this. Okay, so when I click here teachers, I see only the teachers of the school ID 1. If I click in here teachers of this school, I should see only the teachers of the school 9. Okay, perfect. Now, why did I put this variable name here? It's because if you go to the resource, so if you check this resource of this table, the correspondent resource that we are calling, let me just show you, in the resources, we are loading the teachers resource. So if we go to our main settings and the resource tabs, if we go to the teachers resource, which is this one here, we can see that we are passing in the conditions attribute, we are passing this attribute here, search attributes. And the corresponding condition, it's the school ID equal to something, to 1 or to 9. So this field here, it's the conditions. How do I know this? If you edit this correspondent service, and if you go to the main settings here, you can understand that the fourth parameter, it's the conditions. And then if you understand local, you can just understand what's happening in this diagram, or indirectly in the code, so you can understand what the conditions does, the conditions parameter. So basically, because I know this, then I know that the fourth parameter, which is this one, it's the search underscore attributes. So that's why when I create when I create that link in the schools page, I put this attribute name here. So then I can only have the correspondent records of the correspondent school. Now let's change this school ID with the correspondent school name. So let's go back in we are currently in our school teachers page. And the correspondent school ID, it's this guy field here that is showing the correspondent school ID. As we can see here, this resource attribute is showing the school ID. So what we want to do here is to show this, but to show not the ID but the name of the school. So how can we do this? So let's add here a resource in the available values, where currently we don't have any in here. Well, we don't have any that would like that it will have a key value pair. So let's create a resource automatically. So we go here, we make our own selections, and we want to have a key value pair of the school with the get option. So I just do update, and it's creating the resource get school options. And this resource was created successfully. It already put it here, the same way that it created in the resources a new resource here, which was this one here. And now every time that the school ID will try to appear here, it will be replaced by the specific key value pair inside of this resource. Now be careful, because there is a missing step that we didn't do yet. So we are saying that the correspondent available value, it's inside of this resource here. However, this resource is not loaded yet, so we need to load first the resource. So in the load resource, we need here to select that specific resource, which is in this one here. So basically what I did was I click here refresh, so it updates the new resource that was previously created, which is this one here. And what I want to do is, I want is when the parent draws the item, so it is correct, and I want to click in have the handler, which is the load field resource. Okay, so if I save this and if I refresh the page, I should see already the name of the schools. And voila, it's here, the name of the schools. So if I click in this other school, I see the correspondent name. Now let me show you another way to load these specific resources. So in here, basically what we are doing is, every time that for each individual resource, he will load this resource. Well, he only loads once and then it will cache it. But just in case, let me show you a different way of doing this. Instead of loading the resource here, we could do something else. Let me show you. So we delete this, we make this none, okay. And now if we save this, we should see again the school ID, because that resource that we put it in the available values is not loaded yet. So in here, the resources, the correspondent resource, which is the get school options, this only loads if it is the resource it is requested on purpose. So what we want to do is, not based on this condition, we want to change to execute always. And additionally, we need to change then the settings to tell the system to execute the resources that don't have any conditions. So basically we do this and we save, and now the resource will be loaded when the page gets loaded, and we can just refresh the page and we'll see exactly the same thing. Now I want to make this a string, a link to this school details page. So how do I do that? So I click here and I scroll everything down so I can see my actions here, and let's convert this to a link. And let's click in the button. So automatically this becomes a link. Now if we scroll up, if we go to the properties, the URL field, we can just point this to the school details page, which is this page here, where in here we'll just pass the school ID correspondent with that school ID field. Again, this is inside of a list, so I need to have the IDX attribute before the school ID, and then I have the school ID. So I just do update, and I update this and I save it, and I can refresh this, and now this is a link. So the user can understand that this is a link. We can just change the correspondent color. So let's just add here a text class to make this text red. So now the user can understand that if he clicks here, it will go to some other page. Okay, so in this other page, let's edit now the school details so it can show the correspondent fields of the school. And in here we can just go here to the school and do the same thing, just drag and drop it here. In this case I don't want to be a list, it's a form view, and I just do proceed. It's creating the resources. Then I need to just change to the selected templates, and I save, and if I refresh this, I should see the corresponding school. So if I go back, and choose another teachers with another school, I should see the correspondent details of that school. Now let's add here another link to go back to the schools page. Where in here we're gonna call it all schools. Subset. Then we can make this text in the center. We can make this as a block, displaying block. Center, and I want to give it some margin, something like this. So perfect. So when I click here, it shows me the corresponding schools. If I click the teachers, it shows me the corresponding teachers. If I click in the school, it shows me the details. In the details, I can click in the all schools link. So basically 3 pages that call each other. So an important information, why did I in the school teachers, why did I put the link with the school ID, and why I didn't do as I did in the other one, school attributes, school ID? Why did I put directly school ID and not this one? Well, I could have done this, and I could do this if I want to, so I can just update and save it. But then in the school details, I need to make an extra change. So if I go to the school details, in the form widgets, if I go to my widget settings, if I scroll down, I see that I have here a default value. This default value is getting the school ID from the URL. So which means that this will overwrite whatever the value I pass in the search attributes in the URL. So let me show you. Now by clicking here, I have search attribute school ID, but it's saying no records available because there is no school ID attribute here, and is replacing this one with empty value. That's why it's saying that there is no value. So if I want this to work, I need to erase this default value here, and I need to save it. And now if I refresh the page, it shows me correctly again. Here it is. So basically we create 3 pages that talking with each other. This is a normal list that allows me to search. This, by clicking here, only shows me the specific children, teachers that belong to this school. And then in here I have a link to see the details of that school. And then I can go back again to my main list. This is just an example. If you want this, instead of being appearing like this, you could just make this more beautiful by going to the schools page and edit the classes of that 3 buttons. Let me show you. So I could just come back here and just erase these 2 classes, these 2, and in here something like that. So it will be like this, which is much better. This is just an example. So whatever you want, then you can just change your UI according with whatever you need to. Additionally, let's say that in the teachers page, instead of showing this column here, you want to show the name of the school right here in some part of this layout. So to do that, we need to basically to get the correspondent resource that will get the details of the school, and then show it that details the school name like, well, we are in the schools, so we need to go to the school teachers page. So we can show the details of the school or the school name, like in here, something like that. So how can we do that? Okay, so we can just drag and drop a new div in here, and in here we can just put like something like school, where in here we want to show another div, which in this case will not be a block, will be like a spam, something like this. Okay, a spam, and this spam here then will show the corresponding school and will show the attribute name. So currently we don't have any resource that does that, so we just come here and we create one. The resource was created successfully, we save and we preview. We can see the resource here, it was created. Where we need to load this, we need to load now this resource. It's already here, perfect. Okay. And here it is. So don't forget to change this handler to load field resource. So maybe then in here, maybe we could make this a H1 or something like that. So we could see this bigger, maybe with a different color, whatever. So basically now this is only CSS. You just needed to go there and change the corresponding CSS. And then you could hide this guy, or you could make this a link to go to that corresponding details. Instead of being a spam, you could make it as a link. Now by clicking here, we go to the correspondent school details, and that's it. Thank you very much.